welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on a really fascinating journey, digging into one of the most enduring ancient texts, the Psalms.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, our focus is Psalm chapter 21 from the King James Bible. Now, at first glance, you might think, an ancient king's victory song. How is that relevant to my life today?
Right. That's a fair question.
But that's exactly our mission here today.
Indeed. We've taken the full text of Psalm 21 and, the insightful analysis you've provided, and our goal is really to extract the profound, maybe even surprising wisdom embedded in these ancient verses.
Okay.
And you'll see how remarkably potent and relevant it still remains for our complex modern lives. We're going to unpack this powerful praise for deliverance and discover its, timeless lessons on resilience, gratitude, and maybe even true fulfillment.
Okay, let's unpack this powerful chapter then. The analysis describes Psalm 21 as a song of thanksgiving for victory. It doesn't just appear out of nowhere, does it? It seems to follow a moment of intense prayer or maybe expectation.
Yeah,
Can you set the scene for us, maybe connect it to its immediate context?
definitely. What's truly insightful here, I think, is understanding Psalm 21 as the answer to Psalm 20. Think of Psalm 20 as the fervent, maybe anxious prayer before the battle, full of petitions for the king's success, for divine intervention.
Right, hoping for the win.
Exactly. But here in Psalm 21, the whole tone shifts completely. The battle has been won. The prayers, they've been answered.
So this is the celebration.
This is the resounding thank you after the victory. It's a jubilant, reflective piece celebrating and attributing that success. And this is key not to human might, but explicitly to a higher power. It's really a testament to answered prayer and fulfilled trust.
So it's not just a general thank you. It's tied specifically to a concrete, decisive victory. And the psalm itself seems to divide quite distinctly. What are the key themes, maybe the images, that dominate that first section, say verses 1 through 7?
Right. So the first part, verses 1 through 7, is just pure, really joyful expression of praise, profound gratitude for the blessings given to the king.
Okay.
It opens with, "The king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord." So the king is shown rejoicing, but not in his own skill or power,
Right.
but because his deepest desires, things like long life, honor, success, have been granted by divine favor.
That's interesting.
And what's fascinating here is the immediate, almost radical recognition that this glory, this stability, they aren't from the king's own might. The text explicitly says, "Thou settest a crown of pure gold on his head,
Wow.
and thou gavest him length of days forever and ever." The King James Version, with its majestic, sometimes archaic language, really elevates this imagery.
It does, yeah.
It's such a powerful acknowledgement that true strength, enduring blessings, even the authority of a king comes from a source beyond oneself. It really sets up this idea that even the most powerful human ruler is ultimately dependent.
The powerful distinction, isn't it? This immediate attribution of success rather than, self-congratulation.
Exactly. No ego there.
But then it takes a surprisingly sharp turn, it feels like, in the second part, from verse 8 to 13. So, having celebrated the victory and divine favor, how does the psalm then tackle the reality of his enemies, maybe future challenges?
Yeah, it shifts gears quite dramatically. This section, verses 8-13, pivots to an expression of just unshakable confidence in God's continued justice and the ultimate fate of those who oppose righteousness.
Okay, so it's looking forward to.
Right. It declares, "Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee." This isn't just reflecting on the past victory. It's a really strong assertion that those who oppose truth and justice will eventually face consequences.
And it uses some pretty strong language, like the fiery oven.
It does. When it says enemies are made as a fiery oven and swallowed up in thy wrath, this isn't necessarily just literal destruction. Think of it more as a vivid, powerful metaphor
Okay.
for a complete, inescapable, maybe consuming judgment. The idea that malicious intentions ultimately self-destruct, or they get consumed by their own nature, perhaps. Ah, I see.
The text even adds, quite pointedly, "They intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device, which they are not able to perform."
A mischievous device. What does that really mean? Like a plot?
Yeah, exactly. A malicious plot or scheme, something intended to cause harm that ultimately fails. And then the psalm wraps up with this powerful call to exalt divine strength. "Be thou exalted, Lord, in thine own strength. So will we sing and praise thy power."
So it ends back on praise.
It does. It concludes with a firm declaration of trust in ultimate righteous justice.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Beyond the historical context, a king's victory thousands of years ago, what ancient wisdom, what truly timeless truths can we pull out of Psalm 21 that go beyond its original setting? Because these aren't just historical footnotes, are they?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And that raises the crucial question, what enduring principles does it offer us, regardless of our time period or our personal situation? Our sources highlight 4 key areas of ancient wisdom that really cut across millennia.
Okay, let's hear them. First, and this is huge, gratitude must follow blessing. The king doesn't claim the victory for himself. He doesn't gloat. He doesn't immediately start planning his next conquest based on his own perceived power.
Right. He rejoices in thy strength.
Exactly. In thy strength, O Lord. This passage models a deep humility after achievement. Just think about that for a second. In a world that often glorifies the self-made individual, this psalm presents a powerful counter-narrative right from antiquity. It's almost a radical call to attribute success beyond ourselves, maybe to luck, circumstances, help from others, or yes, a spiritual source. It cultivates an attitude that stops ego taking over, even when you're, riding high on success.
That makes sense. What's the second one?
Second, and it builds right on that first point. Lasting security is rooted in righteousness.
Okay, righteousness meaning.
Well, the psalm emphasizes that the blessings, the honor, the stability, the joy, even that almost hyperbolic length of days forever and ever, they last precisely because the king trusteth in the Lord. So here, righteousness really refers to alignment with moral integrity, with justice, with divine principles.
Got it.
It suggests that enduring strength, real stability, comes from a foundation of trust and integrity, not from fleeting external things like military might or wealth or fame. It's about building on something deeper, something more robust than just temporary gains.
That's a powerful point. It's easy to say build on integrity, but in a world so often obsessed with quick wins, how does this psalm uniquely emphasize that lasting security truly comes from those internal foundations, especially for someone powerful like a king?
Well, I think it highlights the source of the king's blessings, the crown, the long life, the honor. These aren't just presented as things he achieved on his own. They're framed as gifts he received because of his trust.
Ah, okay. The trust comes first.
Right. It implies that external success, no matter how grand it looks, is ultimately fleeting if it's not anchored in internal character and a right relationship with what's good and just. For a king, whose whole existence often depended on perceived power, this is a profound statement. Your true power isn't just in your army, it's in your integrity. It's in that trust.
Okay. So gratitude after a blessing, security from righteousness.
Right.
What's third?
Third, the psalm offers a kind of solace, suggesting that justice comes in time.
Right. The part about the enemies.
Exactly. The text doesn't shy away from the reality of enemies or, malicious opposition, but instead of pushing for immediate payback by human hands.
Which you might expect after a victory.
You might, but instead it expresses this profound trust that ultimately God will deal with those who act in opposition to truth, justice, and righteousness. There's an assurance that wrongs will eventually be righted, and crucially that malicious intentions, those mischievous devices, will not ultimately succeed. This offers a deep kind of comfort and maybe patience. It's not passive acceptance, I don't think, more like an active trust in an overarching just order.
Okay. And the fourth point.
And fourth, and this might be the most profound, the presence of God is the true reward.
How so?
It explicitly states that the king is made most blessed forever, not because of his wealth or his army or his throne, but because of God's countenance, his divine presence, his favor.
The relationship itself.
Precisely. It elevates the spiritual and the relational above the material. It implies that true joy, real fulfillment comes from a deeper connection and inner peace, rather than just external validation or fleeting possessions. It suggests that even the greatest earthly triumphs kind of pale in comparison to a profound inner sense of purpose and connection.
Okay, those are 4 really powerful pieces of ancient wisdom. So the big question then, what does this all mean for us? How do these ancient insights from Psalm 21 actually translate into practical, actionable guidance for our complex, fast-paced modern lives? Because these aren't just theoretical concepts, right? They're meant to be lived. Yeah.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, these principles are surprisingly relevant today. Let's look at the modern applications, building directly on that ancient wisdom we just discussed.
Right.
First, when the ancient wisdom says gratitude follows blessing, for us today, I think it means cultivate profound humility even in your greatest triumphs.
Okay. Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
In a world that glorifies individual achievement, the whole self-made narrative, Psalm 21 is a powerful counter-narrative. When things go well, maybe you land that big promotion, launch a successful project, achieve a personal goal. It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking, yeah, I did that, all me.
Hmm.
This psalm reminds us to stay grounded, to consciously acknowledge the, let's call it the invisible ecosystem of support we received. Colleagues, mentors, family, lucky breaks, fortunate circumstances, or maybe something beyond ourselves.
Right.
And this isn't just about being polite, it's an active practice of gratefulness. It actually makes success feel more meaningful, maybe paradoxically more sustainable, because it keeps hubris, that dangerous pride, in check.
Okay, humility, success. What about the second principle, lasting security from righteousness? How does that apply now?
Right, so lasting security rooted in righteousness translates today, I believe, too. Prioritize inner stability over fleeting external validation.
Inner stability.
Yeah, the psalm talks about length of days, honor, blessing forever. In our constantly changing, often chaotic world, there's immense value in seeking lasting peace and inner strength rather than just flashy, fleeting successes.
Which are everywhere.
They are.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with messages to chase the next big trend, the viral moment, instant gratification. This psalm encourages us to prioritize enduring qualities like integrity, inner calm, a strong moral compass. True stability, real inner peace are ultimately far more valuable than temporary popularity or material gain that can, frankly, disappear as quickly as it appeared.
Yeah.
It means choosing to build your life on a solid foundation of values, rather than constantly chasing external metrics that shift all the time.
I think that's incredibly challenging in our current environment, though. We see so many examples, don't we, of people maybe compromising their integrity for what looks like gain. How does trusting that justice comes in time practically help someone navigate that pressure without just becoming passive or, bitter?
That's a really crucial distinction. And you're right, it's tough. It's definitely not about passive acceptance of injustice. Instead, from justice comes in time, we get the modern application. Develop resolute patience and inner fortitude in the face of injustice.
Okay, resolute patience. So not just waiting, but actively trusting.
Exactly. If you're facing unfairness, maybe betrayal, opposition, whether it's personal, at work, in the wider community, Psalm 21 encourages you not to immediately jump to revenge or get trapped in a cycle of bitterness. It promotes this profound trust that ultimately truth will prevail. Those malicious devices, those schemes, they will fail in the end.
But that doesn't mean do nothing.
Not at all. It doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you act with integrity, you speak truth when you need to, you set boundaries, but you do it from a place of inner peace, knowing that the ultimate outcome isn't solely dependent on your immediate reaction or retaliation. And that perspective, that trust, can be a profound source of resilience. It helps you conserve your energy, your mental well-being, especially when things feel overwhelmingly unfair.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final piece, the presence of God being the true reward.
Yeah. So that ancient wisdom, the presence of God is the true reward, teaches us today to anchor your worth and purpose in something deeper than external outcomes.
Deeper than winning or losing.
Exactly. Whether your projects succeed wildly or face major setbacks, whether you win or lose in the eyes of the world, the psalmist teaches us that real joy, real fulfillment comes from something more profound than just external validation. In modern terms, this means understanding that your core values, your character, your inner peace, your sense of purpose, these matter more than popularity, financial success, or hitting external achievement markers.
So finding worth internally.
Right. It's about finding contentment and worth not primarily in what you do or what you have, but in who you are and the principles you stand for. And this allows you to maintain joy and purpose regardless of external circumstances. It creates a kind of unshakable inner compass.
Wow. This deep dive into Psalm 21 has been truly illuminating. It really shows us that an ancient text, a king's victory song from a distant past, can offer such clear, profound, and frankly practical guidance for today.
It really can.
It's not just an old song gathering dust, but maybe a living instruction manual for building a more resilient, maybe more fulfilling life.
Absolutely. I think Psalm 21 beautifully outlines the rhythm of a resilient life. From perhaps anxious petition, moving to resounding victory, then to profound gratitude, and finally landing on renewed, unshakable trust.
That's a great summary.
It invites you, really, to celebrate your successes with a deep humility, to cultivate trust even in the most challenging times, and crucially, to anchor your life in values that go beyond what's immediately visible or fleeting. It's truly a timeless framework for navigating both triumphs and trials with grace and enduring strength.
So as you go about your day, maybe consider this. In a world that's constantly pushing you to chase the next big thing, to achieve those external milestones, or to prove your worth, what's one area of your life where you could perhaps pause, give genuine thanks, and really reaffirm where your lasting strength, your sense of purpose ultimately comes from?